another day. I prayed soon as I woke, never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. Could be you. I woke up at 5:20 just to start my day to day. On this morning I'm feeling different, damn, feeling some kind of way. I got my coffee and got my daughter ready, headed out the door. Things seem a little different, I gotta head it down for sure. So I'm off to the babysitter, Miss Mimi is the bomb. As I'm leaving she was asking, was there something going on?
What's up, everybody? AVM Superhero here. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. We're in June of 2026. This is our last episode for the month of June. We have 2 months down and 4 more to go. But first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to our musical guest that we have for our intro, Mr. Dosha. Thank you for the lovely song that you have given us. I really appreciate what you have done, and also keep on fighting strong for the stroke survivor community. It's like it's time for our show, but it's kind of weird. Like, I don't plan these things out. I have great guests. This is our 9th guest for the season, and most of our guests are telling us how to live a better life mentally, spiritually, and also what type of foods are we put into our bodies. And this guest is no different. We had him in season 5. He had an interesting story, and it was not enough time to get everything that I wanted to get out of him. So he was gracious enough to grace our presence to come back again for episode 2. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into this particular guy because he's a beautiful human being inside and out. He's been doing a lot of things in the community, and he wants to show his appreciation to the stroke survivor community by giving himself to us. So without any further ado, let's bring on Planta Power, my brother from another mother. Planta Power, how you doing, bro? Can't hear you. I don't know, your audio is off. Is it you or me? I don't know. I can't hear you. Audience world, can you guys hear me? Can you hear Planta Power? Put it in the comments and let me know. Try to log off and log back in, brother, and see what's happening with that.
Muted. Hold on. How about now?
Oh, I don't know what you just did, brother, but you're there. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks again. A little technical difficulties, but hey, it's all exciting.
We're good, brother. We good. We here. That's all it is.
Right.
We here.
We
all
here.
Right. So can you give us a little background of who you are, what happened to you, so we could get back into this story of what happened to Planta Power?
So yes, it's Planta Power 22. I'm here in Miami. I experienced a stroke in 2020. After the stroke, in my journey of trying to heal and put myself through therapy and getting to the point where I wanted to be a vocal and make a change. It was about 2 years after the stroke is when I said something really has to change. And I was always been an extremist as far as with my lifestyle. So I had to go the extreme opposite to heal myself. And through that journey, I've been able to share with my daughter on this journey of plant-based living and conscious consumption and, just being there for the children. So all that happened and it really changed my life. I was able to lose and shed a lot of weight. I was at 250 pounds when I had the stroke. And I ended up being around 175, and I've been that way for the last 3.5 years. As of now, I'm a little bit more. I got like 180, but I'm getting back to my intermittent fasting and things are going. So that's kind of the background. And through the healing journey, I've been able to tap into hip hop again and frequencies in different communities, such as the stroke survivor community, which is the first community I reached out to. I got to meet my amazing friend, AVM Superhero, and it's been a great connection. I like to share with the peoples and also learn from watching the episodes. So that's kind of like the background, and I'm just been focused on healing and better consumption and balancing, and also fasting as well has helped me heal, rid myself of the weight.
Okay. So you had a stroke in 2020, and
yes.
It changed your life, but you said you was an extremist. What do you mean by that? What you was an extremist before, and that you had to change your life into a different direction now? What was that extreme life that you used to live?
Okay, so being an extremist as far as just no real discipline. You know what I mean? Just whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, in that sense. And mostly weekends, going into drinking a lot of alcohol, and the alcohol was leading with cigarettes. Then the combination of that, you get kind of down. You want to use a little bit of pick me up, and I was using cocaine on the weekends occasionally, or every other weekend. You know what I mean? And it's just got too much of a cycle that kept me in a brain fog, had my brain in a fog. And even though it was one day on the weekend, it was still, you understand, weekend. Listen to that word. Ain't nothing weak about none of us. And why are we just living this cycle to go back to a weekend? You know what I mean? So now I call it a strong end, because I've learned how to adapt and cut out alcohol. It's been 4 years, and cut out hard drugs and everything to change my life, and cut out meat as well. And so the extreme part was, like I said, no discipline, party until whenever, you know what I mean? And no real structure in my life. So I had to change that the opposite way.
Something's happening with your microphone. I'm not sure what's going on, but
Okay.
I'm very curious about this. You're saying it's extreme life, and I'm very touched by it, because there's a lot of people that had that type of lifestyle, or even living that lifestyle now, and they don't understand where they are leading their body to.
Correct.
So can you break down to me, that particular lifestyle, that mentality that you had before, and what was that switch? Even though some people, even after a stroke, will still keep that lifestyle. So what was that switch for you to say, you know what? I'm done with this. It's time for me to start living or eating and producing things into my body that is actually worth sustaining my life.
Okay, that's a great question. And I was absolutely one of them. All the way I was on that, and I had to make a shift. And what was the true catalyst was a couple of things. And like I said, it was 2 years after the stroke. I was losing a little bit of weight, but then I started gaining it back and realizing I wasn't reaching my goals because of how I was living. And being back on the extreme part, it was like just being how can I say it? All right. So when I felt the consumption, right? I was fast food a lot. It was alcohol on the weekends, and alcohol turned to something else. And then also the energies with the people I was hanging out with. So it was real challenging, and I'm kind of confused a little bit. Can you reiterate that question one more time, if that's possible?
It's okay, brother. Just take your time, man.
Yeah.
I get it. So what I'm asking you is, well, maybe I could give you a better example of my life, and hopefully that can actually give you what I'm really asking you.
Gotcha.
I used to be a smoker. I smoked cigars. Even after my stroke, I was constantly smoking cigars. And I couldn't figure out how to stop smoking cigars. My daughter, she's the producer of this show. She came to me one day and said, Daddy, if you really love me, can you stop? And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was like, man, I love my daughter, but I can't do it. So then I had to do some soul searching to find out, why am I smoking? Then I realized I was depressed, and I was doing it because I didn't have no other better coping mechanisms to actually stop it. So once I found the coping mechanisms, I realized what I was doing, what my patterns were, and then I stopped smoking.
Right.
So the question I'm asking you, with that same mindset, what stopped you from going from that toxic lifestyle,
Yes.
drinking, smoking, or having cocaine and all that stuff, to eating better, getting rid of foods that are inflammatory to your system, to saying, okay, I want to live. I have a daughter. I was 250. I don't want to be 250 no more.
Right.
I want to be this. What was that aha moment for you, sir? And how can you explain to other people?
Perfect. Yes, I'm back on track. Right when you started, it came, and you're talking about the catalyst, right, of what made me change. So how can I slip up on this one? Fortunate and unfortunate, both sides of the coin. The transition of my mother during that time, we had a situation, and the pandemic, I like to call it, and the way it happened, and my mom transitioned and no longer with us here physical. And that was very blowing to the whole family. We all had got sick. And actually, my sister and my mother were intubated at the same time in 2 different hospitals. And my mom went and did some Obi-Wan Kenobi move and went and saved my sister. And 2 days later, my sister was able to be extubated and removed off of the machine. And she is with us here on her healing journey as well. And as that was happening, I had a real good friend of mine from high school. Shout out to Barry, Jason as well. He was planning a get together, and he ended up transitioning. He was a truck driver over the road, and they had to find him in the truck. You know, at one of the truck stops, he was in his sleep and had a medical emergency and didn't get help, and that's where they found him. And right after that, I felt like I could feel death around the corner. And I was looking over my shoulder and I said, yo, something's got to change. And I had a friend giving me information about plant-based lifestyle, and he was actually showing me how to do stir fries. He came down from New York, my old band member, Tropic 2.0. And once I took the information, I said, let me try and experiment. And I went 3 days. The 3 days went 3 days longer. And on day 6, I let go of meat, fish, chicken, cigarettes, alcohol, and cocaine. The first 6 that I let go off the rip, 6 days later, everything changed. The clarity, focus, drive. So the catalyst was the passing of my mother and my friend Jason, and me struggling with my weight, trying to heal from the stroke, going up and down until I tapped into better lifestyle living. And once I had the clarity and focus, I was able to say, wow, this is how my brain's supposed to function, and this is how I'm able to figure out and move forward. And I had so much energy, and it's been a great journey so far. So I hope that answers a pretty good question.
You answered like 1,000 questions with that one answer.
Thank you.
And I'm going to try to remember everything that you said so we could dive into
Okay.
it. First, you had an awakening because you had changes in your life because you saw other people probably that you deemed didn't deserve to die.
Mm-hmm.
And you was living a really messed up lifestyle, and you said, man, I deserve to die, not these people. So you say, you know what? This is a warning sign, and now I'm changing my life. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Transition of my mother, and I said, man, this is sad, you know?
It is sad, and my condolences to you. So the next thing I heard that you said that is that you realized that you needed to make this change, and you had people in your life, you had great friends that taught you how to eat better.
Yes.
And you listened to them. So you was ready to receive something. You was, as you could say, as what a painter would say, is that I put the primer on, it was ready to be painted.
Yeah.
So you was like ready for whoever is going to come up with some real positive information for you to move forward. And that's what you did. You chose to do that. So that's the second thing I heard. And then the third thing I heard was you had to go through this transformation. It took 6 days for you to go through that transformation. You said, okay, I'm going to do this. And the first couple of days, you started doing this, you're taking this away, take that away. Then all of a sudden you felt very fresh. You felt better. You had more energy, and you got past that hurdle. And I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a hurdle that you physically have to do with your brain, because your brain is addicted to a certain type of lifestyle. And once you cleanse that out, then you can actually have the life that you're supposed to have. So can you explain to me that phase? You know, yeah. And I'm talking about really deeply talk about that phase, because a lot of people have problems with cigarettes, sugar,
yes,
cocaine, and those initial days are rough. So can you walk us through those initial days so people can understand that they have to go through that, part of my French, effed up days,
yes,
in order for them to get those better days? Can you talk about that for me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like they said, no pain, no gain, right? So, like I said, this was an experiment. I had some great, giving me awesome information, but I had to implement it, right? knowledge is power, but the activation and the application of it is powerful, and so are you. So when they gave me the information, I said, I'm going to apply it this way. The first 3 days wasn't tough at all, to be honest with you, because it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday I started, and it went by super fast, and I was eating fruit, and I already had a kind of idea how I was going to approach it with the salads and more whole foods, and I never even thought about cutting meat out, because I thought we needed it for protein or to survive, for energy. And then once they were telling me, no, that's not the way it works, I said, okay. So the first 3 days were pretty smooth. So then that's when I said, man, that was a little too easy for me. I'm going to go to work this cycle, and we're going to be like tested by my coworkers, by the lunchero that shows up, by the fast food on the way to work and on the way back. Like I always used to stop, here and there. And so those were a little more challenging, but I would come meal prep. So I already was focused, and I was so dedicated into making a change. Even though I yet haven't had that burst of clarity, I did start to feel better. So, and the energy started increasing, and I just ignored all temptation. Discipline, right? We're talking about discipline. So I stayed disciplined. I stuck to my guns. I actually extended the experiment, and it was the best thing I did, because at the day.
Hold on, Planta Power. You're being too coy with me.
Okay.
No, brother. I need you to dig deeper, because I'm hearing what you're saying, but I have a person that, like for myself, I was smoking cigarettes, man. I was smoking good cigars every day. It was so bad I couldn't even afford. I would pick up the butts from the ground and smoke it.
Wow.
That's how messed up my head was.
Yeah.
And it was so hard for me to stop that. I know you said it's easy, but you're being coy with me. I know it wasn't that easy that you automatically just transfer. I know you had days like you was pissed off with yourself. I need you to tell me the ugly truth so people can understand that they're not alone, and if they could get to that other side. You said you was 250, and now you turned it to 175. Brother, give us the truth. Give us the ugly truth, what actually happened, so we can know how to do that ourselves.
Well, there is ugly truths, but in that beginning process, it initially was really exhilarating, because I had stopped the consumption of the process. I was able to have that energy, which powered me through any of the aches and pains and the urges that my cardinal mind was saying, hey, nobody's looking, you can get this. And I was so dedicated to trying to find a solution, because for 2 years, I was saying I wanted to change, but I didn't put enough effort. So once I decided to make the change, and it did get a little hairy, but at the same time, with the energy boost and my focus, and what I would do is go to sleep early and start adjusting my patterns. I was ready, and I was done with it. I mean, I really felt like death was around the corner, and I was scared. That was one of the main motivators as well. Like, I knew something was going to happen because of my lifestyle I was living. So getting back to the energy and the focus, right? Once I had the energy, I said, wow, this is amazing. Like, I've been addicted to that ever since, the energy and the clarity. My real strugglers came just a little bit after that, is when I broke my leg. I went ice skating with my daughter thinking I could balance myself, and I knew I shouldn't have done it. So when I landed and broke my rotational brake on my right leg, my shoulder side was my left side. So in a sense, my stronger leg, rotational brake right above the ankle. And when I was in the hospital on that is when I heard the voices, is when I seen the vices. And they were just around me, like all, that's like the plants are. Now I'm surrounded by plants. I heard the vices and the voices saying, hey, man, this is a perfect time to go back. You're going to be in pain. You're going to be at home. You can drink and numb the pain and the drugs and the energy and the people. I heard all that in the background, and I just laid there in the emergency room, and I just said, I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm going to ignore everything. And I did use a little bit of pain medicine to deal with the broken leg, but I cut that cold turkey shortly after that and stayed on my healing journey. And yes, throughout the days, you have ups and downs, and you have urges, but it's about the discipline and the reality that you're stepping into. And so there was some tough times and people giving me calls, and I had to tell people, hey, can you not call me for that anymore? And even 3 blocks away in my community, I had a friend that I was going there and hanging out and participating and in that cycle of partying and hanging around people that are not really laughing with you, but more laughing at you. And, that was the realization of that, knowing that I need to make a change for myself and nobody's going to do it for me. Only me. I'm going to save myself.
Thank you for your transparency, brother. That's what I was looking for. I wanted that ugly truth. A lot of us as stroke survivors, we're going through a lot of changes in our lives. We try to find our friends, trying to find out what is real. We're trying to get back to that old life. And then you said, you know what? You heard those voices. I heard those voices too. And have to be a time that you say, enough is enough. I'm going to stop hiding. I want to become the real person I want to become.
Yes.
But before we go any further, I got some information from people online that we want to address. I got people from TikTok talking to us.
All right.
I don't have anybody from Instagram yet, but anybody from Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, Facebook, if you want to join in the conversation, ask Planta Power 22 any questions, feel free. I have Chepo here. He's telling me that his addiction of choice was fast foods, cakes, sugary substance, and things of that nature. Those are things that it's hard for him to actually try to ignore. That's why I'm so glad that you're speaking on this, and I'm so glad that you gave me the picture of yourself when you was 250, and now you gave me a picture of who you are at 185. Yes, it is hard. Yes, you feel like life is over. Yes, you're going through all these things that's happening to you because you had a stroke, and you might think like you might have caused a stroke because you was doing all these things to your body. But
yes,
once you get past those initial thoughts, those evil thoughts, those negative thoughts, those coping mechanisms, life is better. So can you talk about, for me, so that people can understand what we're talking about here, how is life different? You said you change your life and things are different now. You see things, you have different friends now. How is life now for Planta Power 22?
Man, every day is a blessing and amazing. I've been able to shift my whole perspective, even my driving in traffic. It's more laid back. It's more, space in front of me. Hey, you guys want to cut over? They're not. I realized they weren't cutting me off. They were just on their way. And in this journey, everybody has different style of driving, right? And just realizing that the energy felt so good and the clarity. I had to, stay stuck, not stuck, but I had to get out of being stuck and be more comfortable in a new situation. And shout out to my brother in TikTok land. I was one of the main persons that 6 a.m. in the morning, I would go to the fast food and get a bacon, egg, and cheese, thinking I needed it to go and go back to lunchtime cycle. You know what I mean? And so to break out of that, I just realized I needed to benefit my body. And I realized the more you consume, the more you have to process this food, the less I would be healing. And I kind of slipped on the question a little bit, but I just wanted to relate to my brother who's out there with the fast food situation and how my life is now. That's what you were going to say. And my life has been completely different. I've had my amazing teenage daughter on this journey with me, so I haven't been alone. We've made it fun. I've had the experience of helping her transition. She stuck with me too, and I have a better relationship with my mother now. Still getting guidance. I'm helping my father. I've been inspiring my sister as well. She's lost almost 100 pounds as well, and her journey doing it her way. My pops is implementing pumpkin seeds, and yeah, he still eats his Cheetos. He's 75, blessings to him. But he's implemented some of the soursop juice, and being able to put natural foods and natural energies in your body just changes the game and gives you a lot better perspective, and you start to see the cup as not half full, but all the way full, and just enjoying it. And I appreciate, every experience.
Okay, I don't know if we said this in the first interview or not, because we didn't say this in this particular interview. What type of stroke did you have when you had your stroke in
I had
2020?
the ischemic. It was on the right side, affected my left side, not my speech so much in the beginning a little bit, but yeah, it was on the right side in the back. Actually, back here was on the CT scan. It was in the back of my neck, is where the blockage was, and it happened that night. Excuse me, it happened at nighttime, and I didn't go get checked until the afternoon after. So I couldn't receive any of the clot busting medicine because the time frame was off, and basically, had to recover without any real aid in that sense. And so that's the
Okay.
type of stroke it was.
So you had an ischemic stroke, and did they tell you why you had an ischemic stroke?
Yes, that's a great question, and I still haven't had a reason for why it happened, even though I know why, because you mentioned earlier, you may feel like you have, forced that upon yourself. I did it to myself in order to become who I am. But as far as the medical field, them looking into it, they haven't found anything. They couldn't figure anything out. And I even went back. I want to touch on one thing real quick. It's called stroke recrudescence. It's almost like the stroke is happening again, but it's not really happening. But the affected side starts to get tightened up again. So I went back to the hospital for this stroke recrudescence. You can look this up. It happens to a lot of stroke survivors. And even in the stroke recrudescence, they put wires on my head saying it could have been seizures. They checked all these things, and they still couldn't find what happened. My heart came back strong. I even had a loop recorder put in, and they couldn't find any abnormals in my heart rhythm. They checked pretty much everything, and they couldn't give me an answer why it happened. They had no answer for me.
Okay, so they never came up with a solution on why it actually happened, but you did have a stroke. The reason why I'm asking this question is because people don't understand that people that have stroke are very susceptible of having a second or even a third stroke, or even become fatal from that particular stroke. The
Yes.
mortality rate is very high. So what I'm trying to pull out here is that you found a way after you had your stroke to change your lifestyle because you wanted to live. Now, for those people that are out there that say, I had a stroke, my life is over, I can't walk, I cannot eat, I cannot do things on my own, and they stay in that place of complacency and always complaining,
Great
what
word.
do you say to them to motivate them from being in that spot and show them how precious life is, even if you cannot get out your own bed? What is so important about living life that it has to be done by you and you alone? What do you have to say for that, sir?
Well, what I would have to say is, from my perspective, I knew I wanted to be a voice for stroke survivors after it happened, but I was nowhere near ready. And after finding the stroke survivor community and then tapping into frequencies with music, the old music records that my mom left behind for me, and I heard the frequencies of the love of the music, I felt closer to my mother, and it got me more into the hip hop community, which I haven't made music in over 20 something years. And now we dropped an album a couple years ago, and we're back in making new projects. It gets better. It's a very dark tunnel at sometimes. And even in that time where I had the broken leg and I was laying in bed, like he said, I couldn't get out of bed. I could use the shower and get to my fridge. And that was pretty much it. 6 weeks just going to take showers, and then 6 months healing from the broken leg. So even after the stroke, being in there, hearing those voices coming back, looking at the ceiling, saying this ceiling needs to be fixed, something needs to be done here, and as well going within, right? Whenever you feel like you need to journey somewhere, going within, going internal, and finding what needs to be fixed. Listen to your body and make the right moves, because life is precious and our kids are here and they're dependent on us. Our family loves us. They want to see us grow. They want to see us be good stewards of our family and share with the community. And that's what I've been able to do, is revitalize my rap hip hop music, and I've actually changed the way I rap. I use a conscious rap, and I don't use vulgar language. I don't demean women. I don't use derogatory terms, and I don't even like to say don't. I like to stay positive. But yeah, I cut a lot of the negativity out and stayed focused on the positivity.
Okay. I have Chepo, he's saying some more stuff. He's saying, yeah, the medics mostly go upon what you tell them. And he's also saying that they didn't tell me either. So we get a lot of people from our community that says that they don't even trust the medical society because they don't know what we're going through. So that's why it's so much more important for us to be our own advocates, as Planta Power is actually explaining to us now, that we have to be more conscious of what we put into our bodies, food-wise as well as spiritually wise. So now you said something about frequencies, and I'm very curious what you mean by that word, because a lot of people don't understand what you're talking about when you say frequencies. What are you talking about when you say that, and how did that help you get stronger in yourself, your life, and as of being a father as well? Can you explain that to us, sir?
Absolutely. So my birthday is 528, which is a frequency, and that's a hertz, HZ. 528 HZ is a healing love frequency. And I've been able to operate in the love frequency and the abundance factor. And knowing that when you connect with others, it's an exchange, and you're just sharing your perspective, and you're open to seeing a different perspective, you know? And it's a lot going on. And as a stroke survivor, it takes a lot of effort to do a minimal task. And, you know, it's very challenging, but I'm up for the challenge now. I sometimes forget the questions every now and then, but as I'm, getting better on the journey, I realize the frequencies have helped me heal, because even in music, it was originally 432, which is a healing frequency. They changed the music on the radio station to 440 and above, which is an alteration of the original harmonic frequency and the Schumann resonance, right? And how we all have balance. So when you change frequencies, and there's negative and positive, so I started tuning into the frequencies and using them in meditation, along with exercise, receiving sun, and also crystals, tapping in crystals and energy, stuff like that. So that's what I mean about frequencies. And everybody has frequencies. When when they say vibes don't lie.
Planta Power, you're giving us a lot. You give us a lot. I want to make sure that we keep the people in tune with what you're saying.
You got it.
I got some messages in, and I'm gonna get back to this frequency in just a moment. But I got some messages from Instagram. I got One Day K saying music definitely is a big help with my stroke recovery. So this is from One Day K on Instagram. I just want to make sure that we shout him out. And I'm hearing you. That's what I do with my meditation. I did with frequency 528 frequency as well. I do that each and every day. But I don't want you to go too deep, because you're going to lose people. I want people to understand what you're doing, and I want to make it in the simplest forms. You're saying you do meditation, and you deal with that particular frequencies. Can you give us and our audience some recommendations of which where they can find these particular frequencies, and how they actually should meditate each and every day, and what kind of litmus test can they feel to see that transitioning is happening? Because a lot of times people say they meditate, I can't focus, I can't do this. They don't understand what is actually doing with the meditation. So in simple layman terms, short and brief, can you break down where we can find some great frequencies, and also what it does for our bodies?
Yes. You can look up on your phone. You actually have an app. It's called the 432 frequency. I think it's a modulator. It basically turns all my music into the 432 frequency. It changes it back to a more harmonic. So you can just go Google it, or YouTube, or if you want to look up, you can look up my brother Cruz, Crewz. He's also a conscious rapper. And he's amazing, and he broke down the meditation. He broke out the OBE, which is an out-of-body experience, because when it happened to me, I didn't know what what's happening, right? But I got a better understanding by going to YouTube and looking for stuff. And I actually knew this guy personally. So Cruz is a very awesome, conscious rap artist. He's connected with the Forbidden Knowledge family, and he's also an author as well. And they share frequencies and meditation. And I couldn't tell anybody how to meditate because it's for them to figure out on their own. But what I would recommend for what I do for myself is just kind of clear your mind. Imagine yourself just cleansing your brain, just giving your mind a chance to rest. I started listening to a lot of not only frequencies, instrumentals, especially in the rising, just very calm music that I could hear myself think and have time to process all my thoughts and put my affirmations out there of how I want my day to be and be intentional with every step, because you got to watch it because it could be a pitfall or a deviation in course. So yeah, you can just go on YouTube, you can look up healing frequencies, you can look up frequencies, natural frequencies for headaches. Just, you got to prompt the way you prompt the question changes your answer. And that's how I found the recrudescence, by trying to figure it out. But yeah, I would look on YouTube and basically tap in with some conscious artists, because it's not only just strong hardcore hip hop, but there's some artists out there like Lecrae, and I can go on, man, Donnie Arcade and Cruz, that talk about the meditation and the frequencies.
Well, I get you. And you also got to remember, a lot of the people don't even speak English, and they might be in different languages, like people in Spanish. I want you, because I know you speak Spanish as well too. So I want you to speak on that in Espanol if you can. The same type of answer. What do you do for meditation? Because I want to make sure all the people that actually are listening to this can understand it. So in Spanish, if you can, what is the purpose of meditation and the frequency?
Okay. Cuando tú estás sentando, empiece tu mente más claro, para coger un chance para la mente funcionar bien con tu mente alto. Tú tienes un mente aquí para el piso, aquí en este vive, pero tú tienes un otro mente de más alto, conectando con el mente más alto y enfocado en los momentos. Silencio todo y coge tu chance para coger tiempo para ti. And that, what I was saying was, take time for yourself and have a chance to, just clear out everything and silence everything and give your higher mind a chance to tap into the frequencies and the clarity. And when you have clarity, you can make better decisions.
And I think that's the most important thing that I want people to understand from this interview, is that, yes, you had a stroke, or you didn't have a stroke, but you have to have a clear mind to move forward in life. You might be complaining that your job sucks, you're in a dead-end marriage, your children are not doing what they need to do, whatever it is. But what are you doing to be the focus of your life, to radiate to the people around you positivity? Are you there just soaking up the sun, taking up all the energy, eating all these processed foods, drinking, smoking, doing everything that's actually harmful for your body, and you're thinking your children are going to see you and do different?
Right.
Or are you that example that's saying, hey, I know I messed up, and we all have, but I'm making a conscious decision to live a better life. How am I going to do that? I'm going to start with what I intake inside my body, what I watch, what I speak, and who I hang out with.
Yes.
Is that what we're speaking on tonight, brother?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what you ingest, you must digest. Even if you smell gasoline, your body's got to digest that now.
It's coming in.
Yeah, even the environment. Your body is constantly processing. Each one of your trillion cells, they're all defecating, and they're getting backed up because all your cells are producing waste, but your lymphatic system, which is the sewer system of the body, isn't functioning properly. So then you get backed up, you know? So it's also ironic that you asked me about the Spanish as well. I want to just touch on that one more time. My Spanish, I've struggled with my whole life. Being Puerto Rican, growing up in the Bronx, they didn't really speak a lot of Spanish to me. But after the clarity and the focus, yo puedo hablar en español más fácil ahora. Mi cerebro está funcionando bien y la palabra está conectando bien y yo puedo hablar en español más fácil. And I was just saying that everything got clear and I was able to put the sentences together with more confidence and everything.
And it became easier for you.
Yeah,
I got it. I learned a little bit of Spanish too. I know a little bit of Spanish too. I understand exactly what you mean. Yeah. And that's a great point that, you know, things that you found difficult before become easier because you don't have things taxing on your brain, on your body that needs to be dissolved, digested, take the energy to actually do. Now your brain can really do the things that you want to do because you don't have things that take 10, 15 days to actually digest,
right?
Because of these foods that we have in the United States, or these things that stimulate to keep us up when we're not supposed to be that way.
Right.
So, Planta Power, I really appreciate what you've been saying to us today, and I'm glad that you came back for part 2 of this particular episode. Please, guys, if you want to see part 1, go back into my catalog that we have for season 5, and you can see and watch his actual episode. But right now, we're going to go with our hot seat questions. So are you ready for your hot seat questions, my brother? So I got 4 questions for you, and each question I need you to say, AVM Superhero, I am done. Can you give me your next question?
Okay.
So question number 1, are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am ready.
Let's go. Question number 1 for your hot seat question is as follows. What was the exact moment you realized you had to change or die?
Yes, I'll reiterate on that. Was when in my journey of going from 250, reaching 210, and then slowly creeping back up to 230, the transition of my mother, my friend, people getting sick, me having the COVID as well, my sister recovering from that intubation, I knew I had to make a change or I was going to be next. And I was looking at my daughter, and when she looked at me, and I knew how I was, and there was one time as well, I was coming home, and I'm in the neighborhood. It's like 2 blocks away, but I was trying to get in the passenger seat of the car, and I kind of stumbled on the block. And because my balance wasn't right, I kind of just went down anyway to save myself from hurting myself. And my daughter saw that, and she still remembers that the day I fell trying to get in the car because I was lopsided and drunk. And especially from a stroke survivor, after the stroke, 1-2 beers made me look like I had a 6-pack. You know what I mean? Your balance already affected. So I'm ready for my next question. It was that moment when I looked in her eyes.
Actually, I do know exactly what you mean, and I really appreciate you bringing that up because our equilibrium is way off after stroke, so drinking makes it 10 times worse.
Yes.
Question number 2.
Ready.
Goes as follows. What is the hardest truth a person has to accept before they can heal?
That's a great question. And the truth of the truth is you have to save yourself. No one's going to come. When the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself or herself. Come in all shapes and forms, being willing to receive and be receptive and implement the strategy is very important. So I'm ready for my next question.
Okay, here comes question number 3. Question number 3 as follows. What was the biggest lie your mind told you when you were at your lowest?
Wow. Was you didn't need a plan. Man, you figure this shit out as you go. I even had a friend ask me, what's your 5-year plan? And I looked at her like, I'm just trying to get to tomorrow. And I thought it was a joke. But now I see in hindsight, that was a really good question. And not having organization. And I love the freestyle. I'm a freestylist, but you can't freestyle everything in life. You got to set things up. You got to make appointments. You got to get things in order. And just being able to realize that don't listen to the cardinal mind and listen to your higher self and connect with source, and you'll have a better chance at getting out of these dark low points of your life and get back to the high life, right? And being able to make adjustments that, you're not in the same type of cycles. Everything in balance. So I'm ready for my next question. We got to get away from the low points and go to the high points.
All right, here is the final question. And like I said before, this is Deaf Taught Us How to Live, and I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. But PlantaPower is going to finish this fourth question, and once he finishes the fourth question, he's going to close out the show. We're not going to be here next week because it's a holiday weekend, so I want you guys to enjoy your weekend, be safe out there. Don't do any crazy stuff out there that will actually detriment to your life. But we'll be back on July 10th, and I have a great guest who will be on our show then. But until then, you guys be safe. PlantaPower, here's your fourth and final question, and when you're done, close out the show, sir.
You got it.
Question number 4 goes as follows. What is the one non-negotiable daily habit that keeps your energy right?
Great question. AVM. The one thing that I do every day is when I rise up and I scan over and check the clock to make sure I'm right on time and I'm doing what I need to do, I go back to laying down and I just practice gratitude. Now, how do I do that initially? With my breath. I take 3 deep breaths, clear my mind, and just lay there in gratitude. Grateful that I have an opportunity to get up, earn some money, be here for my family, and stay in the abundance factor. And being able to silence the mind and have that moment to myself really sets my energy right for the day. So that's one thing that I do. It's almost like a mini meditation in a sense, just clearing my mind, getting my breath right before I touch my phone, before I even think about anything else. I just want to make sure that I have time for for myself. So definitely thank you all for joining us. I'm going to close out the show here. And I just wanted to touch on some things with mushrooms. Lion's mane mushrooms boost nerve growth and aging the brain. It keeps it in repair mode. And cordyceps increase energy and the circulation, right? Reishi reduces stress and supports balance and brain health. And also psilocybin. Psilocybin promotes neuroplasticity and aiding stroke recovery. It's not talked about a lot, but neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize, key for healing, especially in stroke survivors, right? The holistic healing aids the mind, body, and the spirit to a full recovery, supporting you along the way, right? Also, I started this journey, intermittent fasting. Yes, metabolism reduces inflammation. It regulates the metabolism, and the inflammation reduces it immediately and also boosts the clarity, right? So that is amazing. That's before plant-based, before anything. I started learning when to eat in order to know what to eat, right? I didn't want to waste my meals on BS. I only have a small window to eat, so I made the adjustments. And the no-meat diet has reduced inflammation, has improved my heart health, boosts blood, and gives flow and more energy for the healing. Doing push-ups helps your heart. Just drinking room temperature water for anyone aging 50 and older reduces strokes and heart attacks by 50%. Cup of water in the rising, right? So always get your fluids in. And also fasting. 3-day water fast can trigger autophagy and cellular repair, reducing inflammation and improve mental clarity again, supporting metabolic reset. These are the things I've done in order to help heal myself. I appreciate you all for having the time. I want to give a big shout out to my mom, Sonia. I love you. Always, she knows that. My daughter, G, she's been with me on this journey. We are 4 years, no meat of any kind. I've been sober for 4 years and changing the cycle. And I wanted to talk about the fireworks that are coming up. 1 year when I was consuming alcohol on my sister's birthday, which led me to the overconsumption and changing, I lit off fireworks for her on the beach, which was pretty risky. The next year, when I changed, we went back to the hotel, same on the beach. I brought her fireworks, and she wanted me to light the fireworks. And I said, sorry, sis, I can't go out there and light them again. If I went back and did what I did last year, I feel like I'll be repeating a cycle. And I did not light the fireworks, but I gave her an alternative because she was tipsy and she wanted to see the fireworks. I said, how about when we get home, we get the kids from the neighborhood and we light the fireworks there? And I was able to not repeat the cycle. So break the cycle, make changes, adjustments, and I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to the next episode and learning more from all the community. Thanks again. Oh, and one more thing. You can check out my music. Soul South is the group, and it's on bandcamp.com. Look up Soul South, SOULSOUTH. It's on bandcamp.com. It's not an app, it's actual website. Our music is a free download. We got good frequencies there, and thank you all for tapping in. This is the shirt here, the emblem of Soul South. Thanks again. Signing off. We are done for this evening. Thank you all.